Imagine a sound that should not exist in the 11th century. The whistle of turbines over the foggy hills of Sussex. Below, 14,000 warriors with axes and spears about to decide the fate of England. Above, at 10,000 feet, something that can erase both armies in 10 minutes. An AC-130U. Spooky gunship. Today we're not just changing history, we're committing a military crime against time itself. October 14th, 1066. Senlac Hill. King Harold Godwinson stands behind a wall of shields at the top of the ridge. 7,000 Anglo-Saxons. His elite housecarls wield two-handed Danish axes that can split a horse and rider in a single blow. Behind them, the feared farmers with spears. They form a shield wall across the hilltop, shoulder to shoulder, shield overlapping shield. Harold's strategy is simple. Hold the ridge. Don't attack. Let the Normans charge uphill and break. Historically, it almost worked. Below the hill, William the Bastard, Duke of Normandy. 7,000 Normans, Bretons, and mercenaries, infantry, archers, and the weapon he believes will shatter the wall, heavy cavalry. Norman knights in chainmail on war horses. William the Bastard doesn't know it yet, but he is the main target. And what happens to the English language? The language you're hearing right now, if this man dies too early? The answer will shock you. We'll get to it when the 105mm Howitzer starts talking. King Harold has a shield wall. William has heavy cavalry. The AC-130 crew has a thermal imaging system that can see the fear in a knight's eyes through his steel helmet. For the soldiers below, this is the wrath of God. For the sensor operator behind his screen, they're just hot dots that disappear after he presses a button. The AC-130 doesn't drop bombs. It is a bomb, a flying one that never lands. All weapons point out the left side. The aircraft orbits its target in a continuous left-hand circle, keeping every gun trained on one spot. A 105mm howitzer, a shell weighing as much as a grown dog, falling from the sky. A 40mm Bofors cannon, 100 rounds per minute. A 25mm Gatling gun, 1,800 rounds per minute, a rate of fire that turns any battlefield into mincemeat. Thermal cameras that track individual targets through smoke, dust, and darkness. 13 crew members see both armies on their screens. Two medieval forces about to fight the most consequential battle in the English language. And they have a choice. Weapons: 105mm howitzer, 40mm Bofors, 25mm GAU-12. Fuel: approximately 8 hours. Crew: 13. What do you think? Should the AC-130 help Harold, the legitimate English king defending his homeland? Or William, the invader whose conquest will accidentally create the modern English-speaking world? Or stay neutral? Drop your answer in the comments right now. But first, the crew has a problem they realize too late. Their ammunition is the only modern thing within 1,000 years. When the shells run out, there is no resupply, no airfield, no tanker. What do 13 people do when their weapons are empty and a medieval army is still on the field? Hold that thought. Let's say the crew chooses Harold, the defender, the legitimate king. By every modern standard, Harold is the right side. The battle begins. Dawn. William sends archers uphill. Volleys arc toward the shield wall. Harold's men raise shields. Arrows thud into wood. Historically ineffective. The AC-130 holds fire. Small targets, scattered, not worth the rounds. William sends infantry. Normans charge uphill in waves. The shield wall holds. Axes rise and fall. Norman soldiers reach the wall, fight, die, fall back. Again. Harold is winning without help. Then the cavalry. Norman knights in chainmail thunder uphill. Lances leveled. War horses foaming. This is William's hammer. The sensor operator locks the formation on thermal. 300 riders packed tight, a dense cluster of hot signatures moving up the slope. He keys the intercom. "Sir, I have the cavalry. 300 riders. Range 800 meters from the shield wall. Clear shot." The fire control officer responds. 105, single round, center mass. The howitzer fires. A shell weighing 33 pounds falls from 10,000 feet. It detonates in the center of the cavalry charge. The blast radius, 30 meters. Horses within that circle are killed instantly. But the real damage isn't the explosion, it's the sound. Horses go mad, not from wounds, but from a sound that ruptures eardrums and shatters every instinct in their animal brains. Within 50 meters, war horses rear, scream, throw their riders, and bolt in every direction. For every human being on that field, Saxon and Norman, this is not war. This is judgment, a crater where knights used to be, thunder from an empty sky. The Norman cavalry charge disintegrates, not from Saxon axes, from something no one can see.
105 millimeters rounds expended -1. Cavalry charge broken.
William watches from behind his lines. His best knights, the men he brought across the channel, are dead or fleeing from the sky itself. He doesn't understand. There is no siege engine on that hill, no Greek fire. He orders a second charge. He is William. He does not retreat. The 40-millimeter Bofors opens up. 100 explosive rounds per minute, walking across the hillside like the footsteps of a furious god. The second cavalry wave rides straight into it. Knights in chainmail, the finest armor of 1066, are shredded by fragmentation designed to penetrate modern body armor. Horses collapse in clusters. Riders who survive the blasts are crushed by their own falling mounts. The sensor operator watches on screen. He keys the intercom again. "Sir, I have William, White Horse, center of the command group. Give the order and English history ends right now." Silence on the intercom. 3 seconds. "Negative. Stay on the cavalry. Harold wants this fight. Let him have the king." The targeting reticle slides off William and back to the retreating Normans.
40 millimeters rounds expended, approximately 200. Norman cavalry destroyed.
The Normans break. Not a tactical withdrawal, a genuine rout. Men throw away weapons. Knights abandon horses and run. The army that conquered Sicily, that sailed across the Channel, runs from thunder it cannot see and a god it cannot appease. On the ridge, Harold's Saxons stare at the sky. Housecarls who never flinched from a Danish axe stand open-mouthed. The furred drop to their knees. Priests raise crosses and chant psalms. God has chosen England. Harold is alive. The arrow that historically killed him will never be fired. The Norman archers are fleeing with everyone else. But with every burst of the 25-millimeter cannon, with every round that chases Normans across the Sussex fields, the AC-130 crew is doing something they are only beginning to understand. They are erasing themselves. Every Norman who falls is a thread pulled from the tapestry that will become modern England. Why is saving England a death sentence for the saviors themselves? Because of language. Fuel remaining 4 hours. Norman army routed. Harold alive. No Norman conquest means no Norman French flooding into English. The words justice, government, parliament, army, courage, victory, all French, never enter the language. English stays purely Germanic. The sentence you're hearing right now becomes impossible because half its vocabulary was never imported. No Norman feudalism means no barons forcing King John to sign the Magna Carta in 1215. No Magna Carta means no foundation for constitutional law. No constitutional law means no template for the American Constitution. No Norman administrative state means no Domesday Book, no centralized taxation, no unified England strong enough to become a global empire. Anglo-Saxon England remains a patchwork of earldoms, fractious, vulnerable, waiting for the next invader. The AC-130 crew speaks English. The language they speak exists because of the conquest they just prevented. They have shot their own history out from under themselves. With every shell fired, their future becomes less real. This is where the limitations become existential. First, fuel. 8 hours. When the tanks run dry, the spooky crashes. No airfield in 1066. No jet fuel. No runway. This is a one-mission aircraft. Second, ammunition. The Howitzer carries fewer than 100 rounds. The 40mm has limited belts. Against a scattered, fleeing enemy across miles of countryside, ammunition burns fast. And when it's gone, 13 people in a metal bird that can't fly. Third, the morning after. The AC-130 is gone by tomorrow. Harold is alive, but England still faces Denmark, Norway, and internal rivals. The Spooky won a battle. It cannot win a century. The crew uses the remaining fuel circling the battlefield for 3 more hours. Occasional bursts from the 25mm discourage Norman regrouping. By noon, William's invasion has ceased to exist. When the fuel gauge hits empty, the crew has one choice: belly landing. The AC-130 drops into a Sussex farm field, tearing a furrow 300 meters long. 13 crew members climb out into the 11th century. They will never leave. Harold sends riders to investigate. They find a metal bird with no feathers, longer than a longship, still warm. Inside, instruments that glow without fire, weapons they cannot lift, and 13 people in strange clothing who speak words that almost sound English but are full of sounds that don't exist yet. The Saxons will treat them as messengers of God. Harold, a pragmatic king, will order the wreckage guarded. Saxon blacksmiths will study the aluminum skin and understand nothing. The unfired 105mm shells will be stored in a church crypt as holy relics. The crew will live out their lives in 11th century England knowing precisely what they changed and unable to explain it to anyone who can understand. 1,000 years later, archaeologists excavating near the town of Battle will find anomalies. A furrow 300 meters long, too straight and deep for any medieval plow. Fragments of aviation aluminum in an 11th century soil layer, a metal not refined until the 19th century. And in a sealed chamber beneath a Saxon church, placed there by Harold's direct order, a 105mm shell casing, perfectly preserved. Imagine the face of a researcher in 2026 who finds not a rusty sword in an 11th century layer, but aviation-grade aluminum. And a serial number on that casing, a number that, according to U.S. Air Force procurement records, won't be assigned to a manufactured part for another 900 years. This is not just a discovery. This is a scar on the fabric of reality. The report will be classified, but one archaeologist will write in a private journal, "Something fought at Hastings that should not have been there." It saved Harold, and in saving him, it may have erased the world that built it. Harold won. England stayed Saxon. And the language you would have used to discuss this, the language born from Norman French marrying Anglo-Saxon English, was never born. The greatest victory became the greatest paradox, a weapon that destroyed the future that created it. What if the AC-130 had helped William instead? What if a faster Norman victory created a stronger England sooner? And what if it wasn't a gunship, but a modern tank platoon dropped into the 100 Years' War? Whose side would they take? Drop your answer. Subscribe. History is about to be rewritten again.